MicCHEK is proudly supported by Island Eye Care. Do your eyes itch, water, or burn? Say goodbye to dry eye. Call Island Eye Care today.
This is Central Saanich, a bustling parcel of the peninsula where farming is ingrained in the community. Out here, about 59% of the land is part of the ALR, or Agricultural Land Reserve. But with challenges in the current climate and demand, farming right across the province is taking a bit of a hit. Today, we tackle the topic of farming in these modern times and what it truly means to go local. A lot of our viewers would be pretty shocked to learn that they think they're buying local beef. They could potentially be buying beef from Washington State.
What does local mean?
You are one of those future model farmers.
There's a few of us that are leasing the land here, so leasing individual sections of the land.
All right, Greg, tell me where we're at right now.
So we're at Michell's farm, not far from Michell's Market, which is Island View and Pat Bay Highway, also really known for the UPIC pumpkin patch, right? You know, Michell's has been in our community farming since 1862.
Wow.
So it's been a long time. I'm sixth generation.
Sixth
Generation, yeah.
So this is the cattle barn, so to speak.
This is the cattle barn. This is what we call our maternity ward.
Maternity ward
ward. We keep them in here for about 4 to 5 days. And as you can see, this calf here, it was born just a couple of days ago.
Is Mom okay with us being this close to her right now?
This mom is good, yeah.
This one.
This one is good,
This mom's all right.
Some of the moms do, you know, they get protected, right? So, you know.
I'm glad he's doing that, not me. This is something that a lot of people might not know Mitchell's Farm for. This is something that I know you really took on, and you were talking about really teaching yourself how to do this, right?
Yeah, so years ago, we're entering our 15th year with beef cattle on the farm, and when I kind of got involved with it, I was not in 4-H. We didn't have any livestock on the farm other than like a couple of goats and a horse or two.
Right.
So I didn't really know a lot. I was fortunate that there was a guy, a rancher in the area who kind of took me under his wing and showed me a lot of the things, a lot of the fundamentals of like animal husbandry and raising cattle specifically. 15 years later, it's evolved quite a bit. You know, at one point where we're standing, this was all hayfield, and now it's cattle barns and cattles, you know, cattle herds. We're having a really hard time keeping up with demand. It's quite obvious that, you know, there is a large demand for local beef, and local products. And over time, you know, when we first got into this, and our branding was local beef, locally raised beef, and as I, you know, began to ramp up the production and things like that, and I recognized that term local was being used across the board.
Right.
You could go into any large superstore and see local this, local that, and I kind of struggled with that a little bit because I was like, well,
what does local mean?
What does local mean?
Well, a lot of our viewers would be pretty shocked to learn that they think they're buying local beef. They could potentially be buying beef from Washington State, from an American farmer. And so is there anyone regulating farms or anyone just saying local?
I don't think so, right? Not to my knowledge. I mean, I think again, it's such a vague terminology. Paul, what's your perspective of local?
Yeah,
you know?
It's local. It's like within the area which I call home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other people's, it could be BC. Some people say maybe it's 100 miles. Well, 100 miles could be Washington State. So I kind of got it, you know, I started thinking more and more, and I said, okay, well, let's look at the fundamentals that our operation is. Conception to plate. That's what I wanted to
So you could be even more focused than just the word local. You can say born, raised on your plate here.
Exactly, right? A refined way of saying local. It's up to the consumer to, you know, ask the questions. When they're going to their, you know, their market or their farm store or their butchery, you know, and they're buying a local product that's advertised as local, you know, asking, like, what is local? Where is this coming from? You know, is this on the peninsula? Is this Vancouver Island? Are you raising it yourself? You know? And so, I think that's one of the big things that I've been trying to work into our operation is that educational platform.
Right.
You know, we like to showcase the cattle. We like to get them out on the pasture.
Right.
We love it when people, you know, stop at along the fences and visit them
And say, hey, can we check in and see what you guys are doing here?
100%. Right. And so when people come and they see, it's like, yo, this is a lot going on here. It's like, yeah. Well, you must have. Why don't I see your beef in the co-op? It's like, because this is what it takes to feed one market.
Wow.
You know, this is what it takes. So the next time you go to Walmart or Costco and you're buying your steak or your ground beef or whatever it might be, and you're seeing a row cooler full of product, maybe that'll put things into perspective on like a large scale. Like, where's this stuff coming from? Because it's not coming from here.
So how many, so we got calves here, we got 3, I think, here.
3 calves
How
here.
many do you typically have on a good year?
Yeah, so we're trying to expand, right? So our spring herd, we had 25 calves.
Right.
This summer herd, we've increased the herd throughout the year a bit, and we're actually expecting up to 40 calves this year.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? We're having a really hard time keeping up with the demand.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
It is a good
but
problem. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, so when people see something that says locally bred and all, like, this is as local as it gets, because there's
This
not
is
many
local as
cattle
it
farms,
gets.
are there?
No, and you know what? It seems like each year that goes by, there's one less, you know, and there's a saying, you know, farming is like gambling. You're gambling every year. You're gambling against so many things. The weather, the cost of fuel, you know, the cost of supplies, all of your things go up and down, right?
And coming up, we'll talk to Greg about the mental health of farmers and why that can often be an afterthought, and what he thinks the future of farming could look like.
I've got a spouse and a newborn at home, but I can't be there. I might not be home till 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, going through that, and that's if everything goes okay.
We are here at Michell's Farms on the Saanich Peninsula, a 6th-generation family-run farm that's been growing in the community for more than 150 years. Greg Michell is part of that 6th generation. His son Luke would be the 7th. But the pressure to keep this all going can be overwhelming, and the mental health of farmers is something that's not always discussed.
We raise all of the beef here. We also create all of the hay that is either for feeding the cattle or for sale. Wow. So if you look here, this barn's full of hay. First cut hay, second cut hay.
Staying on top of it all, like so you say, we got hay, we got cattle, we got this, like that never stops, does it? They say that a farmer never really gets a day off. Is that true?
It's definitely an accurate statement. Our first breeding herd starts to calf in February.
Okay.
Right? So we calf in a 60-day period. And then that gives us a gap where we start to get into all of our first cut grass. If everything goes well, and our second breeding herd, which is in here, they are starting to calf.
Okay.
So there's
it all, like,
quite a few things.
It should go seamlessly, but I can imagine that it doesn't all the time.
It doesn't always. You know, you're at mercy of weather. So there's a lot of, you gotta act on the fly, right? And you gotta be able to adapt to the conditions.
And then you're constantly on
there
call,
we go.
right?
Yes, all the time.
So like, I mean, you're giving me a sense of it's a lot of work. It's really hard. Like, there's a lot of big issues in the industry, especially for you. Like, how tough is it? Can you understand why people would not want to get into it, given all of that?
Absolutely, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm not home a lot. I spend a lot of time here.
Right.
You know, I've got a spouse and a newborn at home, but I can't be there because I've got all these animals that I'm, you know, caring for as well, right?
Wow.
You know, and there's not a huge return. You know, you're doing it for kind of that lifestyle, like, and I think that's kind of one of the things that we may be seeing. It's very expensive to be actively farming, and you may have a really hard year and you may not get any return. You may end up with, you know, not even getting your costs covered. But it's that mental, you know, ability to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna try again. You know.
You got to be pretty resilient to be a farmer.
Yeah, and stubborn. Yeah, and stubborn.
You know, there's a heavy focus on mental health in general, which is fantastic in this world now, because we're actually addressing things that have been pushed down, especially a cowboy, someone who is tough and stern and, never really shows too much emotion. Are there any mental health supports for what you do?
There's not an abundance of, groups or supports and things coming to myself and saying, hey, your hayfield was down. We just got that weird rainstorm and, you lost it all.
Your
like,
crop's gone.
how are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Are you doing okay with that? Or, maybe it was a really tough calving year and we lost a bunch. Maybe we had a really high mortality rate for just an unknown reason, and that heavy just sensation of loss and do you get up, do you just fold the cards, or do you try it again? Over time, it just compiles. And I think that's one thing that maybe local government, province and stuff like that could really kind of hone in on a little bit more, is what about the mental health of our farmers? What about the mental health of our food producers? Because I haven't heard about that much, if any.
Right. Instead of just checking for dollars and cents and how everything's going, you check in with the farmer and be like, how are we doing here?
Absolutely. Right. Because there's definitely there's years where things go well, right? There's years where things do not go well. Yeah. And it's almost expected. It's like, we'll see you next year, right?
Get them next year. Yeah. That works in sports, but not when your livelihood's on the line here.
Right.
It's hard.
It is hard. Yeah. But you stay optimistic and you just one day at a time, and you just do the best you can.
I can tell you're passionate about it. I can tell you're emotional about it, which are as you should be, right? And that's what you're keeping a legacy alive. You're keeping all these animals alive. What is your favorite part about this?
I think, one of the best things that I pride myself on this whole situation is the ability to have my son, my children, or my cousin's children be able to come down and get a sense of this interaction with livestock, and being able to be maybe get a little spot of land where they can plant their own little corn or plant some rows of barley and have that sense of responsibility. It's okay, I got to water this corn. I got to take care of it.
All right, Greg. So you're the 6th generation of Michell farmer. Yes. This is Luke, the 7th generation of Michell farmer. And Luke, you've already started working, haven't you?
Yeah. I wanted to grow my own cow corn, like my dad's.
So you're 8. How many other 8-year-olds do you think have their own corn and they're growing their own little plot?
0.
You're one of one, buddy.
Yeah.
How cool is it that your dad's a farmer?
I'm good.
It's pretty cool?
Yeah.
You want to take over the farm one day?
Yeah.
You're going to be generation 7?
Yeah.
I like that, Luke. How much has it changed from when you were that age to where it is now? What's the evolution of farming? And maybe look 50 years, 100 years, what do you think Mitchell's Farms looks like when people drive by or hover by it?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, if I think about the future, I would love to see, all of the land that's currently being farmed still being farmed. Mm-hmm. I think, there's an increasing onus, or what I feel is a responsibility to keep producing food for our community. So as long as that's happening, that's all a guy can wish for, right?
Are you optimistic about farming? Not just your own farm, which I hope you're optimistic about, but are you optimistic about farming in general?
I am. I genuinely am. I think, I think we're seeing a bit of a turn. People realizing that for a long time, and it's probably going to keep happening, a vast majority of our food that people consume is coming from quite far away. And I think every year that goes by, there's more, small acreages that are producing, smaller foods, and maybe they have, a couple of focused consumers or customers. Maybe they're supplying a restaurant, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter on what scale. In my eyes, I think it's good just to see plots of land that are producing food. It's a promising thing, right? Because with a little bit of time, hopefully they can expand and they can evolve, and maybe they'll slowly work their way up, and next thing you know, there'll be another market, another outlet for people to be able to be like, oh yeah, I can buy strawberries that are grown on the Saanich Peninsula, or I can buy beef that was raised right there. You know, I don't have to go to somewhere where it's coming from who knows where.
And coming up, we'll check out one of those small plot farms and head over to Edible Plant Source off Oldfield Road, where they're proving that small can also be mighty.
We're in Saanich here on a 30-acre farm, privately owned, and there's a few of us that are leasing the land here, so leasing individual sections of the land.
We are here on the Saanich Peninsula today talking about the future of farming. Now, so far we've spoken to a traditional farmer about the struggles and responsibility in these modern times. But there's a new model growing and gaining a whole lot of attention. Smaller, focused, and thriving, and it could be an in for future farmers. We are here with Megan Gage from Edible Plant Source. Megan, where are we right now?
Hey, yeah.
Hi, first of all. Yeah.
We're on a 30-acre farm here in Saanich, and the farm is being leased by different farmers, so small-scale agriculture going on.
Cool.
For me, I have a nursery that's all on edible plants, perennial, edible, resilient, cold hardy plants.
And Megan, show us where all the plots are here.
Yeah, so my nursery is over here, and then to the right over here we have the plot market garden, and they sell organic greens and mixed vegetables. And then in the corner they sell a whole mix of organic veggies.
I understand this is a farm that's owned by a guy, and then essentially there's different plots that are leased out. How does that work?
So the landowner here just wants to see the land being used again. He figured the best way to start doing that is to lease individual plots to small-scale farmers, and wants everything to be organic as well. So
I love that. Now, you're one of those small-scale farmers. I know that you're a landscaper, that's your full-time job, but you're also kind of doing this on the side, and what a stunning side hustle this is. Yeah. Do you mind showing us around and what you got here?
Here I have my selling area, so these are all the plants I have for sale. I'm open generally on evenings and weekends at this point and by appointment, and in the springtime I'm full on the weekends selling plants.
Wow. So when did you start doing this?
This is the third year on the property here.
Cool.
And then the year before that I was just doing it out of my backyard.
No way.
Yeah, and that was getting a little tight.
It was getting a little tight in the backyard. So it keeps growing and growing, quite literally.
Put in all this irrigation.
That must have been a lot.
Yes, it's been a long process of getting everything right. Yeah, these are pretty wily. I let them grow out because I'm going to dig them up and pot them.
So these are the gooseberries?
Yeah, they're really yummy. Yeah, these are the honey queen raspberries. They're my favorite. They're super delicious.
And why?
They're very sweet. So you have berries in June as well as in September.
No way, these are amazing. We're noticing more and more of this, and kind of small plot farming and people wanting to buy local. Have you noticed sort of a movement of what's happening with what you're doing, but what's happening kind of overall?
I think so, and the more that we face like uncertainties in societally, like politically, ecologically, there's going to be a lot more demand for local small-scale farming and growing your own food as well.
These big scale, kind of your traditional farm is struggling. They're struggling to keep up and all this. Is this a little bit more manageable at a level that you're doing it, and is that sort of the benefit as well?
Yeah, like the very large scale farms is you need a lot of money, a lot of equipment, a lot of big equipment to do that kind of scale. So that is a huge hindrance for people getting into farming.
Yeah.
The smaller scale is a bit more manageable with the hand tools and the small rototiller. People want to get into it, and I think young people more or less have always really wanted to get into it for the last 10 or 15 years. It's just a lot of difficulties getting into it with the cost of living here.
Yeah.
It's so expensive to live here. And so to make enough money to be able to farm and have the capital input and the land to do it, it's just a lot of things working against you.
Right.
But there is a lot more initiatives happening now, I'm finding, that are helping young people get into farming.
Okay.
Like the Young Agrarians program.
Right.
It's doing like the land matching, and this is how we found the plots here to work on.
And what does that do? It just sort of says, okay, if you're a young person who's somewhat interested in this, we'll sort of help you along the way, or?
Yeah, so they match people that have land to young people that want land to farm.
Cool.
Because there's a huge divide between homeowners now, or majority like retirement age folks, and my generation and younger, just how do you even afford these properties here?
Sort of thing? Yeah.
Like $1 million farms, it's pretty tough to get in. Yeah, so the other farmers, there's 2 other farmers currently.
Yeah.
They're both growing organic vegetables.
Are you noticing that they're doing well too? Are they talking about that success?
They're
or-
doing all right.
Yeah, it's a grind, I'm sure,
It is,
too,
yeah. Finding avenues to sell and selling their produce in a timely manner, because it does go bad.
It goes quickly,
It's
yeah.
challenging
Yeah.
for them, and then, but yeah, just finding like stable workers and markets to sell to. And I found that there is a website that you can post your farm stand and what you're selling under your farm stand.
Cool.
So I'm hoping that maybe that kind of thing will catch on, so that you know where you're going and what you're going to get and what's available. We need more of that, I think.
More of that.
And more grocery stores accepting local food and
Yeah.
bringing it in as much as they can.
What's that process like?
I think from what I've heard from the farmers here, it's tough to have a consistent supply of food because they
Right.
need very regular supplies to stock their shelves. So that can be a challenge with the small growers. So getting enough, out the door to those grocery stores.
Right. I mean, but these local grocery stores are doing really well, and I think that
Some are doing really great at it.
That's what, but I think they could probably do better, right? Like, because if they could then bring in some here, this was actually grown 100 meters up here or 2 miles that way, I think there's going to be people who want that, right?
Yeah, and maybe like different labeling at the store
Yeah.
to show that it's like hyper local food. I think that would be great.
I think that's a really good idea. Working in these sort of cooperatives where you are working with other small farmers and you're on the same farm as them sometimes, does that help? Is that like, hey, this is something that we're kind of going through together, what works for you, what doesn't, so to speak?
Yeah, I think it does help, because then you can talk to each other about, what grows well, what doesn't, the pest issues you're dealing with, maybe you can deal with it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As this keeps growing, do you think that you could just focus on this primarily one day, or would you?
That's the goal.
That is the goal, okay. So Megan, we appreciate your time, because I know you also are a landscaper and you're showing us your beautiful plot here, but at the end of the day, what would you like to see? Would you like to see more people supporting local, and how could they do that, and how can they get in contact with you, I guess?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see more people supporting local, reaching out to local farmers, finding, on the map where they all are, seeing what they're growing, being part of the CSA programs people put on, the local farmers put on, going to the U-Picks down the road here on Oldfield Road. There's lots of food growing here.
And you're not just going to sell people plants, you're going to teach them how to do this, right?
I hope so.
So you too can one day have a small plot like this. Megan, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
So whether it's small scale, doing big things, or big scale, doing what it can to keep up, the key to keeping both is to truly get out there and support your local farmer.